Okay, so we're going to be working with finding the volume of a sphere. So the nice thing about this chapter is we're going to really understand how to work with that formula for circles. It's just this one's slightly different because you're going to find the cube of the radius of a sphere instead of squared. So remember, volume, a sphere is kind of circular all the way around. It doesn't have any flat sides, so that's why the formula is a little bit different. Okay, so our formula for finding the volume of a sphere is right here. We're going to do 4/3 times pi times the cube of the radius of that sphere. So we're going to be working with the radius still. Okay, so I'm going to kind of slide this over so I can do all my work off to the side. So our volume, we're going to piece everything in, is 4/3 times pi times our radius cubed. Okay, so one way that you can look at this, for those of you that are like, oh, fraction. Well, really we can go through, and I'll show you in this first one that there is another way of doing it instead of doing 4/3. So we'll start with the 4/3 and then we'll discuss it out. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and substitute in. So where we have our radius, well, that is now 4 to the cubed, or 4 to the power of 3 times 3.14 times 4/3. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do 3.14 times 4 to the power of 3. And that's going to give me 200.96. And we still have to take that times 4/3. Okay, so if I were to go through and actually work this as a fraction, remember when you work fractions, you multiply straight across. So I'm going to show you what really we're doing. Instead of taking it times 4/3, we're really taking it times 4. And then we end up dividing by the bottom number, which is 1 times 3, which is 3. So if you don't like to look at it as 4/3, you could look at it as this form instead. 4 times pi times radius to the 3rd power, and we end up dividing our answer by 3 because ultimately that's what you're doing once you get through working with the fractions. So 200 times 4 gives me 200.96 times 4 gives me 803.84, and then 1 times 3 is 3. So now I'm going to just divide that by 3. Divided by 3 gives me 267.95. So if I rounded it, I could say it was 268 centimeters in its volume, so it would be cubed. That is just working it in that fashion, okay? So you have to decide for you what works best for you. Do you want to go times the 4/3, or is it easier for you to go through and actually take everything times 4 and then divide it by 3? Because that's what you end up doing either way, okay? So you decide as you're working through it what your comfort level is. I'll use the 4/3 just so that you're seeing it used more often. All right, so let's go ahead and try another one. So once again, let's remember our formula for volume of the sphere is 4/3 times pi times radius cubed. Okay, make sure you're remembering it's cubed and not squared. Okay, so we're using the radius, which is 9. Okay, so volume equals 4/3 times pi is 3.14 times 9 cubed. So 9 times 9 times 9 gives me 729. Okay, so now I'm going to put these together. So 729 times 3.14 gives me 2,289.06. Now we're going to take that over 1 times 4/3. So we're going to go times 4. Gives me 9,156.24. And that's over 3 times 1 is 3. So we end up dividing by 3. To simplify it down, our final answer is 3,052.08. Label was millimeters, and it's volume, so it's cubed. Okay, working with all of these formulas is just really learning how to plug in and solve it. It looks complicated. It's really not. You're plugging information in and then solving for that unknown. Okay, so let's try one more. So volume equals pi. Whoa, that was bad. Pi times radius cubed, so 4/3 times pi times radius cubed. Very important. Cubed. Okay, so volume equals 4/3 or 4/3 times 3.14 times our radius is 5 cubed. Okay, so 5 cubed is 125. And my 3.14 stays the same, and my 4/3. Okay, so now I'm going to put those two together. 125 times 3.14 gives me 392.5. We're going to take that times 4/3, so I'm going to write it over 1. So in other words, I'm going to take 392.5 times 4, and that gives me 1,570 divided by 3. Divide by 3 gives me a final answer of 523.3 repeating, and that would be inches cubed. Okay, so that's working with finding the volume of a sphere.